My brother was 5 years older than me, but then 3 classes ahead. He also started studying at the same age when I started. But in terms of importance like education, he did not like to act quickly. He wanted to put the foundation of this building very strong on which a palace could be built. 1 year's work was done in 2 years. Sometimes it took 3 years. If the foundation itself is not perfect, then how should the houses be built? I was young, he was old. At the age of 9, he was 14 years old. He had the full right of my custody and supervision, and it was my decency to understand his order as law. He was very studious by nature. He would always sit open the book and perhaps make pictures of birds, dogs, bullies on the copies on the book, sometime on the margin of the book. Sometime he would write the same name or word or sentence 10 or 20 times. Sometime a poem was repeatedly copied with beautiful letter. Sometime he would compose such a word which had no meaning, no harmony. For example, once I saw this text on his copy. Special Amina, Brothers, Radheshyam, Sriyukt Radheshyam for an hour. And after this, a man's face was made. I tried to make sense of this puzzle, but I failed and did not dare to ask. He was in class 9, I was in 5. It was a difficult matter for me to understand his creations. I was never interested in studies. Sitting with book for even 1 hour was impossible. As soon as I got a chance, I would come out of the hostel and come to the ground and sometime bounce the paper. Sometime I would fly the butterfly. And if a partner was found, then what a coincidence. I started jumping on the boundary wall, sometime hitting the gate, driving it back and forth, enjoying the motor car. But as soon as Big Brother arrived in the room, I stopped breathing up after seeing the temper of my brother. His first question would have been, "Where was you?" This question was always asked in this voice, and the answer was only silent to me. Don't know why it didn't come out of my mouth that I was playing outside. My silence is to say that I accept my crime, and there was no other cure for it, and there was no other treatment for my brother to welcome me in words with rage. If you read English in this way, then you will continue to read all your life like this, and there will not be any marks for that. Reading English is not a laughing matter, that no matter whatever you read, anyone would have become master of English. Here, eyes has to be strenuous and squeeze blood night and day. When we say that I have learnt English and it's just formal in nature, even big scholar cannot write correct English. What to talk about speaking? And I say, how immature you are, that you do not even learn lesson. How hard I try. You are seeing with your eyes. If you don't, this is fault of your eyes, the fault of your intellect. There are so many fair scenes here. You have ever seen me going to see? Cricket and hockey matches happens every day. I do not venture close. I have always been steady. But I have been in the same class for 2 to 3 years. But how do you hope that you will be able to pass exam squandering the time playing games? It takes me 2 3 years. You will keep remaining in the same position throughout the age. If you want to lose life like this, then it is better to go home and play games with fun. Why do you waste money, hard and ancestral property? I used to start crying after being reprimanded. What was the answer? I have done the crime. But who will bear the burden? Big brother was an expert preacher. He used to say such words. He used to throw up satire, targeted me to pierce the heart, and the courage would be lost. In this way, I did not get the strength to work hard by knowing myself, and in that despair, I would think for a while. Why not go home? Why initiating the work that is outside my capacity? Why should I spoil my life? I was complacent with my foolishness, but I used to have my head go round with that much effort. But after hours and 2 hours, the cloud of despair would burst, and I would intend to study very much from the beginning. Soon I would have made a timetable. How do I start a work without planning in advance? In timetable, addiction of sports would fly away. Waking up in the morning. Wash your face and hand at 6 o'clock. Sit down to study after breakfast. English from 6 to 8. Accounts from 8 to 9. History from 9 to half past 9. Then breakfast and school. Returning from school at half past 3. And a half hour rest. Geography from 4 to 5. Grammar from 5 to 6. Strolling in front of the hostel for half an hour. English composition from half past 6 to 7. Then dinner from 8 to 9 translation. From 9 to 10 Hindi. From 10 to 11 miscellaneous topics. Then rest. But to make timetable is one thing, to execute it is another thing. From day one itself, the criticism started. That pleasant greenery of the field, that light bridges, the jumps of football, the stunts of kabaddi, that speed and quickness of volleyball would drag me unknown and inevitably, and all I got there, I forget everything. That life taking timetable, that eye popping books, nobody remembers. And then Big Brother gets an opportunity for advice and trouble. I would run away from his shadow, try to stay away from his sight. I would come to the room in such a way that he do not have any idea. He gazed at me and I almost lose my breath. It always seemed like a hanging sword on my head. Yet, even in the midst of death and disaster, a man remains in the bond of fascination and illusion. I cannot disdain myself from sports, even by being reprimanded and tortured. Yearly exam took place, Big Brother failed and I passed, and I came first in the class. There was only a gap of 2 years between me and him. I decided to take the bull by the horn. Where did your severe penance go? Look at me. I kept playing with fun, and I am also the dervant. But he was so sad and sad that I felt sorry for him from the very depth of my heart. And the idea of sprinkling salt on his wound became a shame. Yes, now I have some pride on myself, and the self esteem has increased. My brother's spirit is no longer on me. With independence, I started participating in sports. Heart was strong. If he hurt me again, I will tell him clearly. What jackpot you have hit by doing tremendous hard work. See me, I come first even after playing. In spite of not having the courage to show this dareness, it was clear from my gestures and attitude that the terror of my brother is no longer on me. Big Brother understood it. His intellectual intelligence was very sharp, and one day, when I returned at dawn after the play, then Big Brother pulled the sword and attacked me. Passed this year and topped the exam doesn't mean you have got mind. But brother, arrogance is no longer sustained even in those who consider themselves big. What is your interest? Must have read Ravana's condition in history. What sermon did you take from his character? Or just managed to pass? Just passing the exam is nothing. The real thing is the development of intelligence. Understand the intent of what you read. Ravana was the ruler of the world. Such kings are called emperor. Nowadays the expansion of kingdom of English has increased greatly, but they cannot be called emperor. Many nations in the world do not accept the suzerainty of English, are absolutely free. King Ravana was the emperor. Had all the kings of the world paid him tax, great deities used to be slave of him. The god of fire and water were also his slave. But what was the end of him? Arrogance erased even his name mark. No one gave him the screaming water. A man who does evil, do not flaunt or feel proud. Be arrogant and depart from the world. Must have read the plight of the devil. He has assumed that there was no more true devotee of God than him. In the end, it was the result that he was pushed into hell from heaven. Saharov too had once boasted of himself, died begging. You have just passed one position and you started feeling great about that. From now on, I have suspicion that you can progress. Understand that you do not pass through your hard work. Blind man got a quail, but you can get the quail just once, not repeatedly. Sometimes success is also happening by chance. A successful player is one whose no mark is left blank. Do not go on my failure. If you come to my position, you will know what it takes when you have to chew the island grams of algebra and geometry and read the history of England. It is not easy to remember the names of the king. There are 8 Henrys. Which incident happened during the tenure of which Henry? Do you think it is easy to remember? Henry 8 replaces Henry 7 and all the numbers were cut. White paper. Not only this, you will not get zero even. How are you thinking? There are 1,000 James, 100 Williams, million Charles, brain become haywire. Sometime a disease like night blindness happened. These unfortunate could not even link their name. Behind the same name, second, third, fourth, fifth, they keep applying. If I was asked, I would have told 1 million names. And geometry, God help me. Instead of A, B, C, I wrote B, A, C and all the numbers were cut. Nobody asked this ruthless ambivalent what is the difference between A, B, C and B, A, C. I dare you say you eat rice, pulse vegetable or pulse rice vegetable. And why do you kill your student for this trivial matter? What is kept in this matter? But what do these examiners care about? They see what is written in the book, want the boy to write every letter written in the book. And this memorized is called education. And after all, what is the use of reading these words with no meaning? If you follow perpendicular on the base, then the base will be twice its length. Ask its purpose. Let it be double, quadruple, or remain half. It is not my problem. But if you have to pass the exam, you will have to understand all this. He said, write an essay on restriction of time, which is not less than 4 pages. Now you open the copy in front, holding the pen in your hand, weeps on its name. Who doesn't know that punctuality is a very good thing? This result restrains in man's life. Others start having affection on him and his business flourishes. How to write 4 pages on such a trivial matter? What can be said in one sentence? It needs to be written in 4 pages. I consider it an audacity. It is not just the economy of time, but its misuse to put something in vain. We want the man to say whatever he has to say and have his way. But no, you will have to paint 4 pages, even if you write, and the pages are also full size. What else is the atrocities on the student? The meaning is that it is said, write it briefly. Write an essay on the punctuality of time, not less than 4 pages. Fine. In short, there were 4 pages. Maybe 100 or 200 pages would be written. Run fast and slowly too. Is that opposite or not? Even a child can understand such a thing. But these teachers do not even have such a lot. And after all, they claim that we are teachers. Buddy, when you will come to my class, then you will get the real hard nut for anything. And then the hardship of passing the exam will be known. In this situation, there are avalanches. You do not set foot on the ground. So obey me. I have failed a million, but I am older than you. I have more experience in the world than you. Take into account of whatever I say, otherwise you will repent. The time of attending school was near. God knows when would this sermon end. The food today seemed to me to be tasteless. When passing the exam is such a disgrace, if I fail, then perhaps it can be taken for life. Big Brother had drawn a terrible picture of his study. It terrified me. How I did not run away from the school, that is the surprise. But even on such a disdain, my disinterest in books remained unabated. No opportunity of sports is allowed to go by hand. I used to study but too less, just, at, just so that the daily task is completed and there is no need to be scorned in the class. The faith that was born on me again disappeared, and then the life spent was thieving in nature. Then there was an annual examination, and there was some coincidence that I passed and Big Brother again failed. I did not work very hard, but I do not know how I stand first in the class. I myself was surprised. Big Brother had worked hard till the last breath. Every word of the course was remembered. Here at 10 o'clock at night, emerging from dawn at 4 o'clock. Before going to school from 6 to half past 9. The gestures had become unstable, but the poor fell out. I had pity on him. When the result was narrated, he wept, and I started crying too. The happiness with me became half. If I had failed, then brother would not have suffered so much. But who can obstruct what was in the fate? Between me and my brother, there was difference of only one class, and I had a devious feeling that if my brother fails for one more year, then I should be equal to him. Then on what basis he would be able to hurt me? But I forcefully removed this hating idea. After all, he scolded me with the idea of my interest. I feel unpleasant at times, but it may be due to his teachings that I pass regularly and with such good numbers. This time my brother was very soft. At times he was patient even after getting the opportunity to scold me. Perhaps now he himself started to understand that he did not have the right to scold me, and if it is there, then so little. My independence also became unimpeded. I began to take undue advantage of his tolerance. I had such a feeling that I will pass whether I will study or not. My fortune is strong. So, due to the fear of Big Brother, what I used to study little too much, it also stopped. I inculcated a new hobby of flying kite, and now kite flying was used all the times. Yet I used to respect my brother, and after saving from his eyes, I used to fly kite. Problems like thread, tying the kite knots, kite tournament preparation, etc. were now solved in secret. Big Brother did not want to doubt that his honor and opinion has diminished from my point of view. One day, while running away from the hostel in the evening, I was going to run away, looting a kite. The eyes were towards the sky, and the mind was going towards the heavenly path, which was going to collapse with a slow movement. as if some soul was going out of the heaven and was going to receive a new world from the mind. A whole army of boys was running it behind it to welcome it with sticks and bamboos. No one had any idea about their back and forth, as if all were flying in the sky with that kite, where everything is flat, neither motor car, nor trams, nor trains. Suddenly I was encountered with a big brother who was probably returning from the market. He grabbed my hand and furiously said, "You are not ashamed running for the kite of the damsel with that market loafer. You have no idea that you are no longer in lower class, but you have come to the 8th class and there is only one position below me. After all, a man must take care of his position. There was a time when people used to pass the 8th position and become deputy tehsildar. I know a lot of middlemen who are now deputy magistrate or superintendent of top level. How many 8th congregants are our leaders and editors of newspaper? Big scholar work as their subordinate, and you are coming to the 8th class, and in the same 8th class you are running for the kite with that market loafer. I feel sad for you. No doubt you are ignorant, no doubt. But what perseverance does it worth that kill your self-esteem? You have understood by your heart that I am just one rank below you, brother, and now you have no right to say anything to me. But this is your fault. I am 5 years older than you, and today, if you come to my place and this is the condition of the examiner, then of course next year you will be my counterpart, and maybe after 1 year you will get ahead of me. But between me and you, the difference of 5 years cannot be denigrated even by God. What to talk about you? I am 5 years older than you and will remain so forever. You cannot match what I am having experience about this world and life, even if you become MA, DPhil or DLit. You don't have wisdom by reading books only. Our mother did not pass any class, and grandfather might not even go beyond the 5th class, but mother and grandfather will always have the right to explain and improve us. Not only because they are our guardians, but because they are having an idea of this world and life more than you and me. What is the state and system in America? And how many marriages 8th Henry has done? And how many constellations are there in the sky? They may not know. But there are thousands of matter whose knowledge is more than me and you. May God not let this happen. If I get sick today, your hands and feet will swell. You will not think of anything except giving a telegram to your grandfather. But if you suppose grandfather at your place, he would not give telegram to anyone. Do not panic or get upset. First, he will diagnose the disease by himself and treat it. If it does not succeed in that, then he will call a doctor. Disease is a big deal. We don't even know how to carry on the monthly expenditure. Whatever grandfather sent, we spend more than every ounce of it and get fascinated by money. Breakfast stops, escaping from washerman and barber. But as much as we and you are spending today, half of this, grandfather has played a large part of his age with respect and good faith and has followed a family which together had 9 men. Look at your headmaster. He is not MA. You think MA of this place? No, MA of Oxford. He get 1,000 rupees. But who arranged for his house? His aged mother. The headmaster degree become useless here. Earlier he used to arrange money for his house. Expenses were enough. Debtor were there. Ever since his mother has taken over the management, like goddess has arrived in his home. So brother, take it out from the heart that you have come close to me and now you are free. You will not be allowed to loaf around under my vigil. If you do not agree to this, then I can slap you also. I know, my words sound bitter like poison to you. I bowed down to his new tactics. I really felt my brevity today, and I had reverence for my brother. I said with delicate eyes, "Not at all. Whatever you are saying is absolutely true, and you have the right to say." Big brother hugged me and said, "I do not obstruct you to fly kite. Sometime I too am tempted to fly kite. But what should I do? How can I protect you if I go out of path? This responsibility too lies on me." Incidentally, at the same time, a kite, which was cut, passed over us. Its thread was hanging down. A group of boys was running behind it. Big brother, as he is tall, jumped up and grabbed the thread hanging and ran towards the hostel wildly. I was running behind him.